Okay, folks, welcome to our briefing. My name is Scott Rowe. I'm actually in Chicagoland working out of my house right now. I've got a 10,000 square foot building, but I like to do these night meetings in my home office. So here I am. Our intentions with this briefing are to introduce ourselves, explain what we do, share the vision of what's been created and continues to expand around the country. And then as adults, you're going to be able to determine if it's worth your time or not. Right? That's why we have a 15-minute briefing. This has replaced my interviews that I used to do in Chicago here when that's all we were building was Chicago. Now we're building the nation. So, you would come to my office all gussied up with a resume. We'd talk, and then we'd decide if we're moving forward or not. Now, this webinar platform, helps me find talent from around the country so we can build offices. We currently have 8 offices around the country. We just opened up 5 new markets in the first quarter. Philly, Tampa, we have San Diego just opened, DC just opened, Hawaii just opened. I'm going to Delaware this weekend. I'll be in LA next weekend, and we just opened up Indy this past weekend. So we're crushing it. And the question is, are you going to be crushing it with us next? Okay. The process by which we qualify candidates in or out of our team here is this 15-minute briefing, which once again has replaced my interview. The second exposure is a 90-minute intro meeting to our group, which is way more detailed. That'll be held tomorrow evening or Thursday evening, depending on your availability. And then finally, the follow-up Q&A by the end of the week, Friday or Monday, will give a chance to get your questions answered. So these first two meetings here are designed to help you develop questions about what we do and how you might fit in. And then the last exposure or meeting here is designed to get your questions answered, very transparent group form, so you can hear everybody else's questions, and then decide that working with us next week is in the cards for you or not. All right. Okay. There's 2 types of people that have joined us on this webinar. Most folks that join us on this briefing are looking to get into real estate investing. I currently have 135 rentals. I own a company that does fund fix and flips for students. We do network. We do wholesale properties, students' properties all over their network. We also can broker notes for you if you're interested. So I have a lot of real estate stuff going on, and most of the folks that have answered the ads to get to this briefing are interested in either breaking into real estate investing or taking their real estate investing education or career to the next level. Some folks on the line here are looking for work. Some people are just interested in getting a check. They're like, listen, I need a job. I need to make some extra money. That's fine. A few of you guys are looking into that here today. All right. A little bit about me before I start into why you might be here. I lost a $212,000 a year job back in 2006. I could not find another high-paying job like that. My wife lost her job in the same company, same division, so we lost almost $300,000 a year by losing that. Subsequently, we lost our place 36 floors over Michigan Avenue. We lost our place in South Beach. We lost our European cars, and we lost a lot of dignity. Almost lost each other. So thank God I met at a luncheon, I met an individual who had 92 properties paying him rent. He was only 35 years old. I was 38. He was worth $2.5 million and cash flowing 24 grand a month, and I was desperate. So there was a big difference from where we were in life. But I'd never thought about real estate before that, and I had no intention of becoming a realtor because that is a job. That's a commission-paid job that usually you have to work on the weekends very hard. So I didn't want another job. I actually wanted to be like that guy. I wanted to control the equities and the cash flow of properties. So through our research, my wife and I found this the same way you found it, through an ad. Through our research, though, we found the #1 real estate investing education company in the country, #1 rated by the Better Business Bureau. So we looked into them, we researched them, loved what we saw. We started taking classes, and within our 3rd month, we were wholesaling properties. So $31,607 on 5 wholesale deals. Did our first fix and flip that year for 93 grand, only one that year, and then we had our first rental property. And like I said, we have 95 single-family homes. We have a 22-unit building and 3 6-unit buildings today that are in our portfolio, plus a company that facilitates resources to students who want to start with us. So that's where we're at today. Let's talk about why you might want to jump in and play. You see this building here? This is our Chicago office. That's my wife in front of that room. That is 200 people in a workshop my wife is in front of. We have that main training center in our building in Chicago, plus 3 other training rooms in that building, plus 11 executive offices. We work out of that 10,000 square foot space. This worked out so well. We've helped over 600 people break into real estate investing and countless others take their game to the next level here in Chicago. But it worked out so well in Chicago, we thought, why don't we open these situations all over the country and start doing deals all over the country? So we start putting ads in cities that we're not in, and talent like you had been finding us for the last 4 years now. And it's been getting on 15-minute briefings like this, and then going to the intro meeting, going to the follow-up, started working out of their house for income if they need it, but also doing real estate in cities that we weren't doing real estate previously. So it's worked out very well for us. The question is not us, though, tonight. Tonight is about you. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to share the whiteboard and show you through diagrams exactly what you have seen over my desk had you shown up in Chicago here today or tonight and seen these diagrams. Okay. All right, so we're going to save some trees by doing this digitally instead of pulling paper out, right? Okay, so I wanted to be a real estate investor. Real estate investing is very risky. You should not fly a plane. You should not pick up a scalpel. You shouldn't do these risky things like real estate investing unless you know what you are doing. And yes, there's plenty of websites out there that tell you can get it for free. It's not true. You could read a book. It's still not going to get enough. I needed a formal education. So I started taking those classes I showed you, the 100 level classes, the 400 level classes based on University of Phoenix, took them from home. Started at zero, and within my third month was wholesaling properties. While I was making money wholesaling properties, I was actually taking fix and flip classes. While I was making money doing my first fix and flip, I was taking buy and hold classes. I started making money on buy and hold deals, and then I started taking money lending classes. So within 2 years, we were actually facilitating resources to our students. When I say resources, I mean money. So all of that is a result of taking the education and then applying the education and then creating expectations around the results. Okay. So in our world, my wife and I's world, we did a deal and then we turned it into a business. Okay. Today, I do wholesaling, but I do it because people are bringing me deals, right? I do fix and flips. I do them because people are bringing me deals and they're handling the operations because they've been educated. So I've learned how to take one deal and turn it into a business. Hence, the name of our company was the Business Development Group out of Chicago. And now we're nationwide, so because we're expanding. So our focus, our passion, what we are now, we have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old with 135 properties as well. So it's been nice. Now, there is one other thing here. If you are looking for work, we do have a licensing agreement with that education company I showed you. They actually pay us. We have an agreement. They pay us 50% of all the gross infrastructure that they collect from our enrollments. So we actually made that a business. We help enroll students, and we get 50% of what they take in. We also get a 15% override for expansion. So we need more staffers that can help support and recruit through that system. So we get paid tremendously well to create students. I will show you some checks at the end of this webinar that are going to blow you away. These are what my staff is making working with us from home. Okay, so we get paid tremendously well to create students. And then once we create a student, we then work with the student to actually do real estate with them and make more money. So where everybody's benefiting from the relationships. Okay. This money here has really built our infrastructure around the country. So the Business Development Group started in Chicago back in 2007 before the crash, and we cruised right through the crash. Instead of contracting like a lot of other companies, we expanded. We have 8 buildings around the country. So we are nationwide now. We have more students outside of Chicago than we have inside of Chicago. Okay, let me go to slide number 2. So what are we doing? We are constantly recruiting more staffers to have more enrollments. With more enrollments, we do more real estate, period. That's the end result, right? More equals more. So the staff works as a recruiting workforce to get us freshman level folks through advertising, through appointment setting, through public speaking, through customer service, through management. Every time we take on a freshman, within 3 months to 6 months of time, of actual class time, that freshman level person can actually source properties through their sweat equity to us so they can acquire more. Eventually, we want to see those students become well-rounded where they're actually doing their own deals instead of just partnering with us. And when they're ready to do their first fix and flip, we're ready to have funds for them. Okay, we've already got those relationships. When you're ready to do rentals or notes, then we're ready to help you. Okay, at that point. So we want people moving from freshman level stuff to well-rounded because at that point they become senior level and we get to add to the talent pool that's helping the rookies around the country. All right, we do have a lot of folks that have jobs that find us, and they're really coming to us because they hate their jobs. They're very dissatisfied. They're not getting paid enough. That thing's run its course and they're ready to evolve. Usually the capital that you put away doing a job is in a 401k or some type of restricted fund where you're actually getting only about a 3% volatile return. This is atrocious. You should not be getting 3% on your money. You should be getting 10 to 20% like we are. So we've helped a lot of folks able to quit their jobs when they actually learn how to do it. They start making these kind of returns and they're able to fish and sail faster. Okay, and last but not least on this slide here, I'm going to write this in, but we have a lot of investors finding us right now because our infrastructure is so good. I've got people who have been in the industry for 30 years, and they walk up to me after a meeting or they text me after a webinar and they say, look, I don't think about real estate the way that you think about it. Pretty outside the box. What you've been able to develop in the last few years here is way beyond the scope of whatever I dreamed I could. And I tell them this. I go, here's the biggest difference between the way I started and probably the way that you started. I started with an education. I didn't go through the school of hard knocks and learn from mistakes. I didn't have to. I started way beyond where you started so that I can actually excel my business quicker. So the difference between myself and a lot of those investors is what I know versus what they know, period. I'll tell you what the investors do for us. They make fantastic public speakers for us. Standing in front of a room in a city that we're not in helps us get to that city quicker. Okay, last slide, and then we'll finish this thing up for you guys. Get you back to Dancing with the Stars, or wherever you're watching. Okay, are you here because you're looking for work, or are you here because you are sick and tired of work? That's the two choices here, right? Remember, I needed work. I didn't have a job when I started. I was in really a bad, desperate place when I actually saw this information. I do have lots of sales background, though. So using my sales skills, I was designing and maintaining ad campaigns. And I got paid $159,000 my first year. So that saved me. So that started feeding me. That allowed me to work on real estate with some confidence because I didn't need to eat on my real estate. So we have sales folks. If you have sales backgrounds, you should really consider this because 6 figures first year is simple. We do have some appointment setters. These are secretarial types that are making $50,000 to $100,000 annually. And the challenge with these people is they got to work from home, and I don't meet a lot of folks that can handle not having a boss looking over their shoulder. Most folks, whether they believe it or not, aren't really motivated enough to work without constant supervision. So we're weeding people out through this process. Okay, finally, there's public speakers. Now, I have some public speakers, including myself, that make $250,000 a year working with us. I'll show you my numbers at the end. We have customer service that are answering questions. We have managers. Oops. Sorry. Check. Okay. We have managers that are managing the teams and buildings. Am I still sharing? Hang on. Let me just check that. Nope. Hold on, folks. All right, we're back. Okay. What happened there? Hey, Donna, can you do me a favor? Somebody is stopping me from sharing the screen. It's got to be a host. Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry, guys. So we have managers that are managing the teams and buildings around the country. This workforce has one job and one job only. Get us more students, because with the more freshman level folks we have going through the process, then we can, this is our farm team here. So we need people testing out of wholesaling, fix and flip, and buy and hold, so they can actually join the senior level investors on the playing field, right, at the show. So the rookies are helping the senior levels are helping the rookies, and everybody's making money together. That is very scalable. It is something that we have worked on for the last 7 years to perfect. And it's still evolving. We still find talent that can help us. Okay, next final slide here, diagram, and then we'll be done. Actually, we're all done. That is my final slide. Okay, so let's talk about the end of this thing, and let me show you some of the results that I just explained to you. So the next three slides will illustrate the results of what we've been able to create, start to finish, with individuals. And that's really the most important thing. It doesn't matter how many offices we have, how many lives are being affected. Watch this. So we have people that are designing and maintaining ad campaigns, and some of those ad campaigns target young folks. One of those campaigns says, attention 20-somethings. You don't have to struggle for 30 to 50 years and end up like your parents with nothing. Start working with national firm today. Be done before you're 30. Okay, now all the infrastructure I just laid out in front of you is important to the success of this check. Let me point it out. So somebody named Mikey Moyer and Anthony Chappis, 23-year-old and 18-year-old, answered that campaign. While they were sitting in the queue, an appointment setter grabbed them and put them in front of a public speaker. Public speaker did their job. Customer service did their job. Managers did their job, all to make sure that this was available to be seen by these two kids here after answering the ad. Okay? Now, the parents signed off on this, and everybody loved it. So these kids started taking classes. They took one class on foreclosures, and they learned how to buy a property like this for $12 grand from a bank. They put $40,000 into the property. Now, they didn't know how to do this stuff, and they didn't have the money to do this stuff. All of that came from us. And 4 months after they started the project, they got a $114,955 check, so they're splitting about $56,000. And then they did another one later that year, 6 months later, same year. Right? Today, these kids only do real estate. That's all they do. Really good. Okay, another guy comes down. So we target carpenters that are sick and tired of being employees with making hourly wage with a tool belt. So this guy here comes down, and his first fix and flip, he did the work. So he was the carpenter that did the work. I looked at this property. This property here, see this fan here? It looked like an upside down flower. It was so weighted down with mold. Scotty did a fantastic job on this thing. But he picked it up for 81. He rehabbed it for 105. All these resources came from our group. His total in is this. He netted $133,000 in this property, and he paid himself during the work. So he was out of work when he met us. He put himself back to work on his own deal, giving himself a check every single week for a total of $22,000 for 4 months, and then he got $133,000 on top of that closing on the property. Today, 4.5 years later, these kids here have 41 rental properties, doing very well. Finally, my last example here, and I love this guy. He was 24 when I met him. He was a band teacher making 34 grand a year. His wife was a 24-year-old English teacher not making any money. She was out of work. So he came down for summer work. He did not come down for real estate investing. He came down because they weren't making ends meet. He worked through the summer, and he did so well that he decided that he wanted to work through part-time through the school year, and he ended up netting $122,000 working with us the first year on staff, which allowed him to quit his teaching job, which then allowed him to work on fix and flips and eventually get to a point where he has 122 rental properties at 32 years old. He is one of my senior level investors in my building. We call him the rental genius. He runs all my rental study groups in my building, so he's awesome. Okay, folks, now if you're looking for work like Justin was, I am looking for people that can design and maintain ad campaigns, handle communications, assist in live events, handle customer service. Public speaking is at a premium right now. We do have full-time and part-time. Why part-time? Well, when you're a band teacher and you start getting checks like this, so these are staff checks, these aren't my checks. So when you start getting paid like this from a company, now they do direct deposits now, so we don't get checks anymore. But this is the kind of checks that we get, the kind of paydays we have. When you get this kind of money, you're able to quit your job and work on fix and flips. So here's a progression. So now he's actually doing fix and flips with us and eventually gets to 122 properties. So it is a process that we don't even just have figured out, we have people succeeding with. Okay. For those people that are like myself, they think they can do some public speaking or manage as an executive. This is what they've paid me in 4 years. So if you're not making $250,000 a year doing what you're hearing me do right now, then maybe it's time to investigate working with a company that can get you that. Okay. My wife and I, we used to wake up every single morning, get in traffic, and then sit in a cubicle for 8 hours. Today, we don't go to make our own bills. We actually get up every day to help other people make their lives. It's been a fantastic, very purposeful change for us. We are on the advisory board to the real estate investing education companies, about 20 of us on that board from around the country. And we've won a lot of awards. My wife and I currently run, and we're fortunate, I say we run, we don't really run it. We help manage the #1 team in the country. This team that is putting on this webinar is bought per person the most profitable team in the country. So we've won that award 4 years in a row. Should not change this year because of the talent we're finding. So congratulations, you're trying out for the Yankees of the industry here. We've opened up plenty of buildings around the country because of these webinars. It attracted a lot of attention, a lot of good attention. So keep in mind, people in Arizona, Utah, New York, and California did not come to Chicago for an interview. They came to a 15-minute webinar like you are on right now. They came to the 2-hour webinar that you probably should go to. They came to a follow-up to get their questions answered, started working from home, some of them for 6 figures first year. And then pretty soon we have enough people to put an office around them. And that's how we do what we do. Okay. And that's it, guys. That's the 15-minute